So today we're going to discuss the crossroads of justice and humanity. It's debating a policy that has resurfaced in recent legislation. The thing is the surgical castration for convicted rapists. It's a measure that does stir deep emotions and raises urgent ethical questions and forces us to confront what justice really means. On the surface, the argument in favor of a policy seems clear. Proponents say otherwise. It says it's a strong deterrent, a way to send a message that society doesn't tolerate horrific crimes. They argue that surgical castration could significantly lower the risk of reoffenses, especially among serial predators. So, what's the word for it? So, basically, the serial predators, like, a person, who continually, it's kind of it's not like a serial killer, but, it's, common, kind of connects to, how, whoa, I just, went darker there. Connects to how, they do it over and over again. That's kind of what it is. They're diagnosed with certain psychological disorders. They even claim it's a matter of public safety and how we must protect the future victims at any cost possible. From a retributive standpoint, it's easy to understand the impulse. It's a brutal crime, deserves harsh punishment. Some might even say death sentence, depending on how horrific the crime is. In some systems, castration is even presented as voluntary alternative to a longer prison sentence, allowing the offender to choose paths towards rehabilitation. For some, that sounds fair, perhaps even merciful, but for others, they don't think so. Those opposed to surgical castration raise serious legitimate concerns. The policy brushes up against what many believe as basic human rights. Is it ethical or even legal for the state to be forcibly removed for a part from someone's body if they have or haven't committed a crime? International human rights organizations, medical ethicists, and legal scholars have warned that this could constitute cruel and unusual punishment, and that would be in violation of, I believe, our Fourth Amendment. Even when labeled as voluntary, quote-unquote voluntary, the choice between bodily mutilation and decades in prison raises questions about true consent. There's also an issue in effectiveness. Not sexual violence is driven by sexual desire. Many offenses are rooted in power, control, and psychological trauma. Reducing a person's libido doesn't necessarily eliminate their capacity to harm others. So our future goal to stop future crimes is it shouldn't be investigating more in psychological treatment, monitoring, or rehabilitation. Furthermore, what kind of setting are we aiming for? If we do normalize inversibility bodily punishments, where do we draw the line? The danger of a slippery slope is very real. From a utilitarian perspective, if this measure truly saved lives and prevented suffering, might some argue is worth it. But from a human rights standpoint, we do have to ask ourselves some questions. Does the end justify means? When does our pursuit of justice become its own form of violence? So to conclude, this debate is not just about punishment. It's about who we are as a society and how we choose to respond to certain situations.